Greetings, YouTube. Once again, happy Friday. I have been messaging back and forth with the user that goes by the name of Dark Cowboy 007. Sounds like the next James Bond villain to me. And he has experienced something that a lot of you, including myself, have experienced, and that is the frustration of getting the same class or the same 2 or 3 classes for 5-star Awakening gems every single time. To give you an idea of my frustration with this, I've been playing this game now for at least 3.5 years, and I have never opened half of the classes of this item. I have never opened a Cosmic Awakening gem, I have never opened a Mystic Awakening gem, and I have never opened, and probably will never open what you see in front of you, a Mutant Awakening gem. And I almost feel like the game kind of determines when you open your first 5-star Awakening gem what class is going to be the norm, and then the algorithm skews that. And every once in a while, it'll deviate to 2 or 3 classes, but it won't leave those 3 classes. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this, and I can already anticipate people commenting, being like, oh, this is, a paranoid theory. This is BS. I've gotten 4 classes, or I've gotten all 6 classes. And if that's you, congratulations. But I talk to a lot of people behind the scenes, and even though those conversations never make it into a video like this, the data supports the theory that these things really are rigged. And they're rigged because the game knows that they want you to spend money on chances to duplicate champions the hard way, via crystals particularly. And they know that if you awaken that champion, you're less likely to maybe be motivated to spend. So in order to protect the quote-unquote integrity of the balance of the game, they are going to skew their algorithm toward what is already in your inventory with the assumption, the computer assumption, that if you have the item in your inventory, you probably don't think it's valuable enough, or else you would have already used it. So it isn't going to hurt the balance of the game on your account to get an additional one of those items, because in theory, if you had the champion to use, say, this Mutant Awakening gem on, you would have already used it. And I have to tell you, I believe in data, and I believe in patterns of data. And after hearing the same thing over and over again for years from so many different users across the spectrum, I do believe that this item, more than any, I am convinced, is skewed toward getting past classes that you have already opened. Now, this user is also of the belief that I just expressed. And so this user took it upon himself to do what the company encourages us to do, and that is to post a forum post and file a ticket complaint wanting to know why, in this case, as he says, transparency is the email title, a word that Kabam likes to say that they care about, even though when it comes to drop rates of things like a 5-star Awakening gem, it clearly thinks they don't care about that. I, along with a lot of other summoners, have gotten multiple Awakening gems of the same class. I have gotten 4 Mutant Awakening gems in a row. Keep in mind, I got 4 Tech in a row before finally breaking the streak and going back to the class that I got originally 3 times in a row, and that was Science, and have not used them because I have no Mutant champs that are worthy of it. This is a common theme amongst my alliance and others. Is the drop rate for the 5-star Awakening gem 1 out of 6? No. To get a class, or is it tailored to your account by Kabam? If it is truly 1 out of 6, the odds would be astronomical for multiple summoners to roll 3 or 4 in a row of the same class. There is a common theme amongst these summoners. Or are the drop rates adjusted by Kabam to try to create balance in the game? Thanks in advance for the anticipated response and transparency to your customers. That is a fantastic professional way to word a message conveying a problem that is a significant problem. And when I talked about the odds in a previous video, somebody commented, oh, I can't believe people don't understand how math works. It's only an 18% chance. That's true, but that's for only 1 crystal. When you talk about the odds of 4 crystals in a row getting the same class and 1 out of 6 being to the power of 4, the math gets crazy. So it's not 18% chance to get 4 straight classes of the same class. And if that happens, it certainly shouldn't be happening with the pattern and the frequency that it's happening from so many people who have reached out to me, especially after the latest 5-Star Awakening Gem opportunity in the Intel event currency, with getting what this guy has gotten for the 4th time in a row. So Kabam did respond, and I do believe their response is fascinating. Let's zoom in on this thing and talk about it. Greetings, Summoner. Thank you for contacting Kabam support. I understand that you have some concerns with the Awakening Gem Crystal drop rate, and it keeps on giving you the same class. I completely understand how you feel now, and I will do my best to assist you today. As you are likely aware, there are many factors that determine the drop rates of items or champions in crystals. We designed our system to keep a strong balance between offering an opportunity to win and maintaining the rarity of valuable items. We also share your concerns about upholding the game's integrity. Therefore, our drop rates are never specific to individuals. This is a very fancy, somewhat shady and vague way of saying it is not 1 out of 6. If it was 1 out of 6, they would just say it's 1 out of 6. Sorry, you've gotten the shaft. But when you see the line, there are many factors that determine the drop rates of items or champions and crystals. We designed our system to keep a strong balance between offering an opportunity to win and maintaining the rarity of valuable items. When I hear maintaining the rarity of valuable items, I'm really thinking about the 5-star generic Awakening Gem, which remains one of the top 2 most valuable items in the game. That's also why there was such an uproar when summoners that hadn't played the game for an X amount of time received an opportunity to get it for the equivalent of 50 United States dollars or 50 pounds, because that is the gem that you're supposed to spend thousands and thousands and thousands of units on to complete Labyrinth of Legends, which was originally not only the hardest content in the game, but also the content that gave you the best rewards. I believe very strongly that Kabam designed the 5-star class Awakening Gem to only give you 1 to 2 classes, maybe 1 to 3 classes, as has been in the case with me for 3.5 years, because they wanted to incentivize you to go and spend thousands of units and thousands of dollars, especially toward the beginning before 5 stars were even to rank 4, to complete the content in order to get the generic gem that you then have control over which 5-star to awaken. If it was truly 1 out of 6, that actually devalues the generic Awakening Gem and devalues the motivation to give people the incentive to have to go through really, really hard content in Labyrinth of Legends, although we also know after the latest Cyber Monday deals that if you have enough money, you can also bypass Labyrinth of Legends and get what were actually better rewards in some ways than the Labyrinth of Legends rewards by buying the generic Awakening Gem, a gem that I haven't used and still have in my inventory myself. So I do believe that the wording of this post reaffirms what I believe, that because they want to not only maintain balance in the game, but also give people the incentive to have to keep opening crystals to dupe champions or to grind for that oh so elusive and valuable generic Awakening Gem, you are not going to see a different class or the class that you're targeting that you haven't seen in this crystal, maybe ever. The fact that 3 out of 6 classes I've never seen pop up in my 3.5 years of playing this game, and believe it or not, that probably covers the span of about at least 10, but maybe even 12 5-star Awakening Gems. And yet, it's always been science or tech, and then there's been 1 skill. The rest have been science or tech. So I think I've opened 6 tech, 3 science, and 1 skill. That data alone hints at the idea that you have some class that the game is predetermined you're going to get the most of, and the algorithm is going to keep that crystal from going to the classes that you've never received. I don't expect this to be the case for everyone. I do anticipate some rebuttals in the comment section, but I also anticipate that there are a lot of people out there who share the same experience of the summoner that wrote this post and also myself. And it is, in a sense, something that makes complete sense when it comes to making you have to do the hardest content for the generic Awakening Gem. It is interesting to see if that item becomes somewhat more readily available, because 6 stars are the future of the game, and we do know there have been hints that you can't even take your 5 stars into certain paths and chapters of the future content of Act 6. So that would mean that it's finally time for Kabam to do things like offer every 4-star as a 5-star champion, including the top 2, at least in my book, Wolverine and certainly Scarlet Witch. But also it makes sense that this has to be solved, because as the Crystal batch continues to have well over 100 champions, and in this case, maybe closer to 200 champions by the end of the year, you have such a small percentage chance to actually naturally duplicate the champion that you're trying to awaken. And if you've got a champion like Omega Red, for example, or maybe Medusa or certainly Star-Lord, they're not very good, especially someone like Star-Lord. Medusa better, but they're not very good unawakened. Dr. Voodoo is another example of this. Void is another example of this. And so awakening gems have become actually even more rare and more valuable in that sense, and that's why this algorithm is trying to skew you towards 1 or 2 of the same classes. But at the same time, what Kabam maybe doesn't realize is that because there are so many champions now in the Crystal and you can't easily dupe a champion, it's causing people to get burnt out and leave the game. And I can't tell you how many people over the past year or so have messaged me saying, Prof, I'm going to retire because I'm just tired of pulling the same champions. I'm tired of pulling terrible champions. And if they can't count on opportunities to fairly awaken the champions that are pretty average unawakened, it's actually more of an incentive to retire than it is to keep pouring money into something that you feel like you're never going to get the outcome anyway. So that is my rant and my investigative review of this issue. I do believe the data strongly suggests that these crystals are rigged towards getting the same couple of classes, or in this case, the same class, in order to keep balance. And the balance means balance for motivation to get generic awakening gems and push through really hard content to spin lots of units. Let me know your thoughts on this below. Otherwise, have a great day. Thanks for watching.